Welcome back, boxing fans, to another great show with Sean on boxing. We're going to break down boxing for this week, talk about some of the big fights coming up down the line, and which ones obviously we're excited about, and which ones not so much. Jump in, join the conversation. Let's talk boxing. Welcome back. My PPT is done. I'm a free man at last. So I can hunker down and start talking about sports, boxing, basketball, and football. Speaking of football, Wirtz to Liverpool, $116 million. Liverpool are going to be giants next year. Just you wait. Garden Snake Mentality's in the house. What's up, my man? First in the door. Got some interesting drama in the boxing world. What's that? Are you talking about Hitchins and Kambosses, or what drama? I mean, the world is full of drama right now. Israel's bombing Iran, fucking people running rampant in California, people that I taught with acting like it's a good thing. People are fucking going crazy. You never accomplish anything by fucking running rampant. All you do is force the government to bring in the cops and the soldiers and shut your asses down and throw you in jail. You're not going to accomplish anything by doing that, right? Not really. But, what's the drama? Do tell. I love a good story. But obviously, we're going to be talking about boxing this weekend. This weekend is not the biggest weekend of boxing, but we do have a good matchup, primarily because of the drama attached to it. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Hitchins. When he was part of Floyd Mayweather staple, he was invisible. Floyd promoted him terribly. He never fought. He was basically locked away and never seen again. I know people accuse that of Golden Boy with black fighters, but hey, let's keep it honest. Floyd Mayweather has done that with plenty of black American fighters as well. And Hitchins was one of those fighters. Obviously, now that he's with Matchroom, he's getting fights a lot. He finally became a champion, and he's fighting George Kambosses. I heard some people saying that this fight doesn't make sense, but it makes all the sense in the world, right? It's the easiest opponent potentially he could fight at 140 pounds, and primarily the biggest name that he could get. Probably the easiest fight available. I mean, everybody is predicting that Hitchins is going to win. That ain't going to be a surprise. What makes this fight even more interesting is the fact that the drama that's been going back and forth with them for a long time. Them, their fathers, everybody throwing fists and everything else. They got to do this because there's not a lot of buzz on this fight. Hitchins is a boring fighter, and Kambosses, outside of his great victory against Teofimo Lopez, has been beaten by every top fighter he's fought, right? So the onus is on him to go in there and look good. The onus is not on George to do anything. If George wins, George is a fucking big money man in boxing. He's going to end up getting bigger fights, potentially a Lopez fight, right? For potentially tens of millions of dollars. I know that sounds crazy because he is who he is, but the fact is he does have name recognition. He's got a country behind him, and these things do pay out. If you look at Hitchins, he's got a boring style. He talks a lot, but I mean, that's not a surprise. We got tons of guys that do that. It don't matter what you say outside the ring. It's what you do in the ring. And historically, he's been disappointing. This is his opportunity to make a statement, and we'll see if he can. I don't want to mess up the topics, but I'm excited to Moses Atama Dillian matchup. Yeah, it's a great matchup on paper, but it's kind of a similar situation to Hitchins versus Kambosses, right? Obviously, Moses is a great young up-and-comer. Dillian White looks well past his best, and every top fighter he's faced has knocked him out. So, the script probably follows suit that he's going to get knocked out by Atoma. Obviously, it's another good name on a young man's resume, a guy who's just coming up, a 20-year-old. But, as far as the competition, I don't know if it's really going to be competitive. There's no running rule for Turkey is getting a lot of backlash. That. Well, the people putting backlash, the same usual suspects that somehow make this into a race conversation. It's not a race conversation where Turkey is still working with black fighters, right? All he's talking about is he no longer wants to pay for boring fighters that don't fucking deliver. And every promoter feels the same. That's why a lot of these slick fighters end up becoming marginalized and not getting a lot of opportunities in their career, because promoters after a while realize nobody wants to pay to see these fucking guys fight. Happened to Rigo, happened to Lara, happened to Andrade, happened to tons of fighters, right? Look what Bob Arum said about Bivol when they were first talking about the unification fight between him and Beterbiev. Say he's boring, right? Look at fucking Usyk. Usyk's had to travel all around the world, fight in everybody's backyard, always on the road because of the same situation. You can be a great fighter, but you're not marketable, you're not exciting, you're not somebody fans want to pay to watch. Is that racism? I mean, how come only in boxing do people check the whole race situation with this conversation? But yet this is the same in every fucking sport. People would rather watch a football team that's up and down, fucking throwing, getting great touchdowns, opening up the field and fucking putting up 50 points. Nobody wants to watch a team that wins 10 fucking 3 because they have great defense. Boring as fuck. I'll give you the perfect scenario. Some people are ignorant, stupid, they haven't fucking traveled, they don't know anything. So, all they can do is talk about race. But rugby is not a sport anybody that really is on my channel follows. There's not many Australians and English guys that follow my channel. I wish there was more. But rugby is a huge sport. Globally, it's giant, right? And the reality is South Africa's got a great team. But I don't want to watch South Africa play because they're boring. They grind it. They just run in the middle, kick. Run in the middle, kick. People want to see New Zealand play because New Zealand's exciting. They get the ball wide, they fucking run, and they create exciting plays, right? This is the same with everything. People want excitement. If you're going to pay money for tickets, pay money for pay-per-views, you want to be fucking excited, not bored to fucking tears. I'm hearing Shakur Zapata is in an 18 times 18 ring. This tells me Turkey was really mad about William Skull and Devin's last performance. Well, I think really not so much Devin because that whole card underwhelmed, right? But I think mostly the William Skull performance. You give this guy a career opportunity. You finally get Canelo Alvarez to come to Saudi Arabia with this big event, and a guy fucking fights as negative as that. It's just a bad look, man. Bad look. King Henry, what's up? Canelo and Ramirez should. Oh my God, dude. You can push your fucking stupidity, but you're the problem. People like you're the one out there fucking on all these channels creating racist fucking narratives. Like you, a guy who hates fucking on non-black fighters, but then is going to put on this shit. No, Skull fucking ran like it was a track meet. He didn't engage. He fucking had one of the lowest punch outputs in boxing fucking history. And Devin Haney wasn't much better. The one thing we could say about Haney, at least he got his ass beat up in his last fight, so we can understand him being a little skittish. But Skull, this was a career opportunity, and he fucking wasted it. Just so he could say he went the distance, he's never going to get a fight again. Devin Haney at least is going to get big fights moving forward. Maybe not as much as he was hoping for, and maybe not the paydays he was wanting, but he's still going to get opportunities, even probably by Turkey. But Skull, we're never going to see that guy again. Literally, never. Right? And you can say all you want, but we've seen this fucking play out time and time again. Boring ass fighters don't sell. Nobody wants to watch them. Go ask what happened to fucking Rances Bartholomew and fucking Robert Easter Jr. after their fucking shit fest. Those guys never fought again. Robert Easter Jr. literally never fought again. Rances Bartholomew has been back a few times, but nobody cared. Nobody cared. Right? Like, what made some fighters fan favorites is because maybe they weren't the best fighters or the most skilled, but they fucking let their heart fucking hang on their sleeve. They came in and they tried to win. You could see the effort they put in, right? Even if they maybe weren't as skilled as their opponent, they put in the effort that many times got them the victory. If you're a great skilled fighter, but you don't put in the effort, why should I fucking care? right? It's like my kids when they do their homework. If you don't care, I don't fucking care. Like, don't give me that shit. Take it away. I don't want to fucking look at it. I don't want to look at your homework if you don't give a shit and give me the crappiest fucking shit. Just put that away. I don't want to fucking look at it. I'm going to put a big question mark on it, and your parents can see it when you go home. Because I don't even want to deal with you if that's the lack of fucking excitement and effort you're putting in. Right? Sean, is Sam Noakes any good? At this point, I don't know if we really know much about Sam Noakes, right? Like, he's a guy that's been getting a lot of attention in the UK, but mostly against domestic level UK fighters. I don't even know if he's really fought European level yet, right? And definitely he hasn't fought world level. To be fair, neither has Abdullah Mason, right? Nakatila has been gone for a long time. He was shot after the fucking Shakur Stevenson fight. He got knocked out and destroyed by Raymond Muratalla. He's been not really relevant for a long time, but he's got some name recognition. So it was a good opponent to throw Abdullah Mason in with. At this point, I would have to favor Mason to beat Noakes, but that's mostly because I just don't know much about Noakes. Noakes will have his opportunity. If he can go in there and beat Abdullah Mason, England has another star, a guy who's going to sell out the O2, have a huge fan base, be a world champion, right? Everything is up to him. What's he able to do, right? I think Abdullah blitzes Noakes within 3. Anything can happen, right? Noakes is an aggressive fighter, but Noakes is not Nakatila, and Nakatila went longer than 3 rounds. So it depends, I guess, on Noakes's mentality and game plan, right? We have to see what he does. Like right now, if we look at Sam Noakes and what this guy has done in his career, I mean, let's just check it out. We can look. We've got technology, man. Everything is at our fingers. The yellow pages. Whatever happened to the yellow pages, eh? You got to be old if you don't remember the yellow pages. Sam Noakes, 135-pound English contender. Currently, Noakes is ranked number 9. Javier Herrera is number 10. Abdullah is ranked 6. This is, of course, BoxRec. 17-0, 15 KOs. So obviously he's done well against the opposition he's been in with. He's 27, so he's a lot more experienced, a lot more mature. 5'8", so he's not short, but I think he's going to give up some reach against my man. He fought Ryan Walsh. He fought Vaughn Mendy, 2 very good opponents. Vaughn Mendy, he may not beat people, but he's been in with quality opposition, right? So he's been in with not bad opposition, but in fights against those guys, he went the distance in both of those fights. So I don't know if his power is really that great. So we'll see. I'm eager to see Abdullah Mason get in there with somebody and win a world title, because I predicted that he would be the next WBO 135-pound champion. So it's going as planned. Abdullah gets the WBO belt, and I got Andy Cruz in a few months beating Muratalla for the IBF belt. That's a little more competitive a fight, right? I feel far more confident that Mason is going to beat Noakes than I do Cruz beating Muratalla. Muratalla is a much better fighter than Noakes, right? I think more legitimate power, more length, more experience against high-level competition. Cruz, on the other hand, has only had 5 professional fights, and he hasn't looked that sensational, in truth, right? So I don't know if he beats him, because I know he was a great amateur, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a great pro. He doesn't have great power. He's to be fair, he's fought a little more professional style than he did when he was in the amateurs, and that's good, because we prefer that. If he was running all over the ring, nobody wants to watch that shit. But right now, when you look at him, I mean, he's 5-0, 2 knockouts, so he better be fucking a good boxer. 29 years old, right? So he ain't young. He's going to be fighting Mishiro next, which is obviously a good opponent. But Mishiro is a domestic Japanese fighter, 17-1-1. He's never fought outside of Japan. He's never fought any big name 135-pound opponents, right? Just been doing his business in Japan. Outside of that, Antonio Moran hasn't been relevant fucking for 6 years. Giovanni Straffin hasn't been relevant for 4 years. Juan Carlos Burgos has been a stepping stone for boxers for the last 10 years. And that's the kind of competition he's facing. Good, solid competition for a guy right out of the amateurs, right? Like when you look at that, you think, yeah, man, he's doing exactly what he should do. But that doesn't necessarily tell me if he's really that good. And he wasn't dominating and destroying these guys either. So it makes you question really how good he is. Whereas Muratalla, 23-0, 17 KOs. The kid's 28 years old, so he's a little younger than Cruz. 5'8", 72-inch reach. So he's going to be almost as tall, almost as long. So he's not going to give up a lot of length to him. And he's just been in with way better opposition. Tevin Farmer, who he beat, ex-world champion. He beat Nakatila and destroyed Nakatila after Nakatila gave Shakur Stevenson a tough fight, right? Destroyed him, knocked him out in 2 rounds, basically ruined him. Fought tough fighters like Herberto Galinda, Diego Torres Nunez, fought tough South African fighter, Solani Jajengo, and obviously just beat the tough Russian fighter, Zaur Abdurev, to become IBF blah, blah, blah champion. So he's been in with way better opposition. But in saying that, Cruz might win. But I think people are too quick to give Cruz credit because of his dominance in the amateurs, which is ironic because they weren't so quick to give Lomachenko that credit. And he's older than Lomachenko was when Lomachenko turned pro. Was Keyshawn unprofessional and a clown for his antics? Of course he was. Of course. I mean, you call yourself the businessman, but that was some bad business, man. Like he was on the midst of getting conversation about pound for pound, right? And he could have won this fight, and his next fight still could be at 140, fighting Lopez for his second fucking belt against a pound for pound quality fighter, which would have threw him right on the pound for pound list. But then you do this, and you fucking 1 step forward, 4 steps back. Like, obviously, I don't think this is really going to stop his career or be a big hurdle because good fighters that are under contract are going to get contracted opportunities. And if they go out and press and they still have fans, they're going to be fucking pushed by promoters. But that was just fucking a bonehead move, man. A bonehead move. But that's what I've been saying about these American athletes for so long. These kids are spoiled and entitled. This is another example of it. Spoiled and entitled. Dr. Wong says, hello, Mr. Sean. Junto wants to skip 122 and go to 126 and fight Espinoza. If Inui wants to fight him, it will be there. Does this mean if Inui beats MJ and that Ball and Junto at 126 are on the docket? Well, I think Junto and his team are kind of talking cap. I don't think they're going to skip over Inui's division to go fight Espinoza. I don't see that happening, right? Not fucking at all. No chance I see that happening, especially when they're already talking about the Junto Inui fight in May. So that means probably the most likely thing is Junto is going to probably try to fight against one of the other champions before the year ends. I understand, though, they might be fighting each other, so then it leaves him in an awkward position. That's why it's unfortunate that fucking my man, Bam Rodriguez, is basically wasting his time fighting at 115. He should have already moved up. That should be probably the next fight for Junto. Bam, Junto for the 2 unified titles at 118 pounds. I don't know what happens, but if Junto jumped up 2 weight divisions to fight Espinoza, man, that's some serious fucking work there because Espinoza is no joke. No joke. We'll see, though. You know, I know Ball was potentially on the docket late in the year for Inui. Maybe what they could do is do like a double header then Junto wouldn't necessarily have to fight a great fighter. Maybe he could just fight somebody that we know, like a Cardenas, right? At 126 pounds, sorry, at 122 pounds. You fight Cardenas, Inui fights Nick Ball, and then in May, you guys can fight for Inui's undisputed titles. Keyshawn always does everything to prevent me of being a fan. Well, I don't know if you can say always. What has he done before this that prevented you from being a fan? Sean, does your life feel unfulfilled and incomplete now that Loma is retired? No. It's a little early for that before I'm sure the depression and broken heart sort of sets in, but I think I'll be fine. I'll just keep drinking these Japanese peach drinks, and I think I'll get over it. The reality is, I've been a boxing fan for a long time. So there's been a lot of great fighters I loved that have retired. That's the norm. Everyone's going to retire. So, I mean, I knew potentially Lomachenko was going to retire. I was hoping it would be next year and we'd get maybe one, maybe two more fights out of him. But, it is what it is. Better, I guess, to leave a winner. Someone called bantamweights Japan weights, and I can't unhear it. I know, I just heard that. They just said that recently on the Junto card, right? The English commentators, and I'm like, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, the Japan weight. 4 Japanese world champions. Well, 3 right now. Some Japanese fighters can't handle the stardom, and just being real, it seems to happen to Americans the most. Oh, some fighters can't handle. Yeah, well, because a lot of these Americans are young, right? When they first start getting a lot of praise and hype, they're like 20, 21, 22 years of age. And then they start getting paid big money. And at that point, they're shot. They're fucking buying into the hype. They're spending all their money on fucking bling bling, which they shouldn't. These dudes should be fucking buying houses, fucking renting that shit out, pulling in fucking incomes, and protecting themselves like Larry Holmes did for the future. They could fucking buy all that bling bling later, right? But early on, they fucking got to stay away from that lifestyle, hanging out with the hip hop artists, thinking that you're fucking. The whole reason you're great is because as a kid, you sacrificed. Now that you've made it here, they think they've done it all. But yet, this is fucking, you just made that first $1 million payday. There are many fucking more levels you could potentially go through where you could be a Canelo Alvarez. And maybe you're not going to become a Canelo Alvarez. Not everyone becomes that big. But there's still a lot of money to be made, even if you never become a Canelo Alvarez. Abdullah Mason looks like he's 14. It's true, eh? His face looks super young, super young. That kid needs to grow like a beard, like just here or something, or, like a soul patch, something. Because, man, he looks like a fucking kid. When Keyshawn was talking to him, I'm trying to call him out. It was like, Keyshawn, man, stop fucking bullying the kid. The kid's literally fucking, you're a high school student. He's junior high school student. And you're like giving him a hard time. Sean, why does American fans throw fighters away after one loss or one mistake? Because they're not real boxing fans. They're fucking race baiters. They're fucking narrative jumpers. They're fucking dick riders, fanboys, but they're not boxing fans. If they were boxing fans, they would fucking ride and die with fucking fighters that they were fans of. Abdullah is mature for 21. That seems to be a kid who can root for. Yeah, I mean, his whole family seems pretty fucking grounded, eh? And pretty, obviously, he came from a family with a mother and father. Not to disrespect or hate on Keyshawn, but obviously that's a different scenario. He was brought up by a mother, strong woman, but still, it's not quite the same, right? He didn't have a real father figure, I don't think, like say an Abdullah Mason did, right? Who, beat some respect into you and make you a grounded kid. Yeah, Keyshawn tried to punk Abdullah, but at the end of the day, he fucking punked himself. Abdullah walked away headlining the event. Now is fucking getting an opportunity to win Keyshawn's fucking belt and not even need to fight Keyshawn in the process. That was the biggest blunder and the biggest punk of yourself fucking ever. But yes, Japanese peach drink. Look at the ass on her. But let's. Noakes and Mason is a good fight. I don't know if it's a great fight. Come on, Evan. You fucking probably have only seen Sam Noakes fight once. So let's not fucking hype like a kid up too much. Here we are. Hitchins, Kambosses Jr. You know, if you're a Hitchins fan, I don't understand why you'd be critical of him fighting Kambosses. It makes a lot of sense. You're going to get your first $1 million payday, right? You get a big name on your resume, a guy that's got a legacy win you don't have yet, right? The only people that beat Kambosses were guys that were pound for pound, like Haney and Lomachenko. So it's not like this guy's losing to bums. You know, this guy still has a lot of name recognition behind him, right? So it's a good win. After this, it'll be interesting to see who Hitchins chases after next, right? If he wins. I kind of would love to see George win, because if George won, then we could see a Tio Kambosses 2, right? Unification fight, right? Which would be, that would be a big fight just because of the first fight and how it unfolded. Whereas if I think Hitchins wins, what big fight are we going to get from Hitchins, right? Really, which fight at 140 are you really excited about? Hitchins versus Puelo, Hitchins versus Matias, Hitchins versus Gary Russell, Hitchins versus Teal. Like, are these fights you really excited about? Fights like you're like, yeah, I got to see that. Let's make those fights. Those fights are great. Like literally, you know, Hitchins versus Keyshawn. Maybe that would be the one fight I'd be the most interested in, right? Stylistically, I think that fight could be pretty entertaining. Probably the most entertaining fight out of all the fights I just mentioned, right? Devin versus Kambosses 3. Well, we definitely don't need that shit. We already saw those fights twice. Hollow Ninja, thank you very much. Over 4 pounds, Keyshawn didn't even try. Shake my fucking head. I know, and that's the biggest problem. The fact that these guys just take it for granted, right? Already taking it for granted. Like, you haven't really fucking done that much. You were basically gifted a belt by Top Rank and Bob Arum, which if you fight for them, generally if you're good, that's what happens. They give you the WBO belt. And then you never even fucking made a successful title defense. You did the same thing fucking Benavidez did, the same thing Tank Davis did, the same thing Shakur Stevenson did. So not to hate on him, because many other fighters have done the same fucking shit. But it's just, really, why, man? I was just boosting you up, building you up, talking about how you're one of my favorite fighters to watch. And then I don't even get to watch you because of this fucking boneheaded shit. I rather paint lines in the street than watch Hitchins fight. Terrence Crawford lives rent-free in Evan's head. Kambosses is trash. I'm so sorry, Sean. Well, he's not trash, King Henry. He's a guy that literally beat Kambosses and has only lost to Devin Haney and Lomachenko. And if he loses to Hitchins, stylistically, it was never a good matchup for him, right? So I'm surprised he was eager to take on that fight. I would have thought for him it would have been more exciting to take on a guy like Subriel Matias, right, where his Australian cohort has already beat him. So there's a game plan already in the pipe. Any good fights in the undercard? Keyshawn sucks. Crawford's overrated. Yeah, Evan just fucking hates anything related to Top Rank. He's a PBC fanboy, apparently. Norman stops Suzaka. Okay. So far, you haven't said anything fucking that's really an intelligent take. But we won't hold that against you because it's pretty normal. Boots will duck top. Oh my God, dude. Like, you're obviously not a Top Rank fan. Because look at your fucking narratives. I don't understand how people can be boxing fans but be full of so much negativity and hate. Like, I know John always accuses me of that, but it's like, which fighters do I hate? Which fighters do I criticize and shit on? I might criticize their platforms, their promoters, and how they move them. But as far as the fighters, I might say I don't like his style. I don't really like him. But that's my opinion, my prerogative. I can like who I like and I can dislike who I like. But I don't make videos shitting on fighters day in, day out. I don't go out of my way to try to tear fighters apart, lie, and put out clickbait videos like some people do. Crawford's overrated. What the hell? Yeah, that shit's been going on for fucking years, man. He's just an upset fucking Errol Spence fan that got fucking embarrassed. Evan hates everything about Crawford. Evan can't be taken seriously. I'm negative towards Keyshawn Davis. I don't hate Crawford. The guy is just overrated. Never fought an elite fighter at his best. Okay. You could say that about many guys. Boots and Conor Benn would be a sweet fight at 154. Boots kills Conor Benn. Could he be splattered by a cow licker? Ben beats Boots. No fucking chance. Ben is garbage. Come on, man. The dude's fucking never beaten anyone. Literally, never beaten anyone. Boots moved up, and now Haney will act as king of welterweight. Oh, that won't happen. Because who's going to pay for his fights? He wants to get paid like $10 million a fight, yet who really wants to fucking watch him fight? Right? Teo walked away from him. Ben has fast hands and explosive. Yeah, yet he fucking punches like a little girl now that he's off the roids. And he's fucking fundamentally flawed. That's what happens when you start boxing at like 20 fucking 4. Who has Boots beat? Laugh my ass off. But unlike Ben, Boots has won titles. Ben has never fucking won anything. Boots beat a world champion in Stanionis. Ben never beat fucking anybody. Like, I don't know why you're hating on Boots, the fanboy fucking Ben. Already, the younger fucking guy, I don't know who's younger, maybe they're about the same age. Already, Boots is fucking far superior in his career than fucking Ben is. What do you say about Turkey, Tom and Jerry comment? It's fucking true. He's paying the bill. If I was him, I wouldn't put boring ass fucking fighters on my undercard. When you watch some of these PBC cards, right? And then they put like some boring ass fucking runner on the undercard. Like they did it recently. I can't remember who it was. But like, why would they do that? You're killing fucking momentum. The guy's not a big enough name. He doesn't sell anyway. So, like, you're just trying to keep him busy. I mean, I appreciate that. But the reality of the situation is you might as well throw him on fucking the non-televised part of the fight card. Because nobody wants to watch that fucking fight on the televised part. If I was paying all this money to put fights together, I wouldn't put boring-ass motherfuckers on my cards either. I'd be like, no, sorry. You can go fight with the PBC. I'm paying money. I'm paying money fucking for entertainment. I ain't paying fucking money for NyQuil. I could buy that shit cheap at fucking the drugstore. I don't have to pay millions of dollars for NyQuil. 147 has never been this weak. Cap. But casual fans say casual comments. I don't want to see Skull against Canelo, Rigo versus Casemiro, Shakur versus Santos performances anymore. Nobody does. We knew that fucking Rigo Casemiro was going to be shit. We knew that Skull versus Canelo was going to be shit. Those fights were predictable. De Los Santos, Shakur, not so much, right? Not so much. De Los Santos had been in some exciting fights. So you figured potentially with his awkward style, his power, and his penchant to be in exciting fights, he would potentially get the most out of a Shakur Stevenson fight. But just the opposite, because he did have those things. Shakur fought even more negative, and Santos was afraid to fucking even be aggressive, knowing that Shakur was too dangerous. So then we end up getting a fucking terrible fight. Terrible. Right? But you can't always predict. Sometimes fights just end up being bad. But you look at good matchmakers. See, maybe that's the problem. Turkey and these guys need to fucking deal with. They need to get better fucking matchmakers. Because I remember when I was a kid, I'd go through Ring Magazine and I would just say, I want to see this guy fight. This guy, draw lines, right, in the ranking system of guys I want to see fight. Obviously, it was before all this television and pay-per-view, and I never got to fucking see the majority of those dudes fight, especially against one another. But I'd be doing my own matchmaking and I'd be thinking stylistically who I'd like to see and that kind of thing. So even when I was a kid, I was trying to think which fights made the most sense. Like I remember John Boxing gave me hell because he's calling me a racist because I don't want to see Shakur face Valdez for unification, right? Mostly one reason is because Valdez should have been fighting Jamal Herring for unification. He shouldn't have fighting Shakur. Shakur fucking should never have got the opportunity over fucking Jamal Herring. It was disrespectful to take that opportunity away from Jamal Herring, the champion. But I talked about I'd rather see Valdez versus Navarrete. Stylistically, it's just a better fight. And it was a better fight. So much so that they did it fucking twice. The Valdez-Shakur fight was boring as fuck. Like we knew it would be. That's no disrespect to Shakur. We just know stylistically that fight's not going to be fucking entertaining. Right? And if you like him and you want him to have the opportunities, that's fine. I don't say you can't ask for what you want, but then in the same respect, can't I ask for what I want? Right? Because what I'm looking for is exciting boxing matches. I don't care who fights who. I just want to have styles matchups that make sense. Like I'd way rather have watched Canelo fight Mbili than to watch him fight William Skull. But the reality is people would have shit on him for fighting Mbili just like they shit on him for fighting Skull, even though that fight would have been a fucking great fight. Because these dudes are more about hating on Canelo than they are about making good fights, right? The majority of these haters on YouTube, they're fucking just about hate, right? They don't care what great fights Turkey puts out. They're just going to hate on it anyway. Because they'd rather do anything but fucking just hate. That's all they do. I think Turkey is a boxing fan, not a boxing guy. I don't think he makes the matches. Well, I think he does make the matches, and that's unfortunately why some of them are not great. Because being a boxing fan, sometimes what he thinks would be fun doesn't necessarily make sense, right? That's why he needs to have real people around him to really sort of help him form things out. As far as the New York card, nobody said that card was going to be boring. Everybody expected that card to be fucking great. It turned out boring across the board. That's unfortunate because you did not see one fucking channel on YouTube shitting on that card before it happened. But afterwards, holy fuck, holy shit, the things people said, because people are just full of shit, right? Turkey tune-up fight should stop. Just give us Wilder versus AJ, Devin versus Ryan matches, and Plant versus Maul. Well, unfortunately, sometimes you just can't do that, especially with the money these people fucking want, right? Nobody wants to see Plant versus Maul when Maul's been fucking in rehab for fucking a year and a half. Nobody wants to see Wilder fight after fucking getting blitzed by fucking a mediocre fighter in a big fight with AJ where he's going to expect fucking, what, $15-20 million? And Devin versus Ryan, I mean, the fight was fucking going to be shit anyway. The fight was shit for the most part. The only thing that made it exciting is that Devin couldn't take away Ryan's fucking hook. And if he couldn't do that in the rematch, well, then that would be, it's probably better for him that he doesn't get the rematch. Thank you very much, Hollow Ninja. The game is to hit and not be hit, but you have to be prepared to be hit. Why are so many fighters afraid to be hit and take risks? It's your job, man. I mean, and the reality is, it is about getting hit and not getting hit. But if you want to get paid millions of dollars and be a fucking superstar, you need to entertain, right? You could be a basketball player that just plays good defense and hits open jump shots, and you're going to make a great living. But no one's ever going to talk about you. You're never going to get the endorsement deals. You're not going to be a fan favorite, right? You're not going to be invited to the All-Star game. You're not going to get all the perks that somebody else would get. You still retire with millions of dollars in your bank, maybe even world titles, fucking rings on your fingers. But at the end of the day, no one's even going to fucking really remember you. I was over at Champside's channel, and this point was fans that support the no run rule want black fighters all to sound like James Toney, Kirkland, and Bo. See, but that's the thing that guys like Champside and the regular fucking usual suspects are continuing to push because they think the only people that fight slick are black fighters because they just need to make everything racial. Like James Toney was one of the best defensive fighters ever. The dude did not get hit a lot. He was out of shape and he did fight too long and he did fight at weight classes where he shouldn't have. But that was his choice. It wasn't because stylistically he was a slick fighter. He was a guy that was right in there consistently. He wasn't running around the ring. Fucking Kirkland, right? And Toney wasn't in there getting fucking hit either. Kirkland was. Riddick Bowe was a fucking super skilled fighter. He didn't get hit fucking a ton. He had a few fights where he got hit, but generally that guy was a fucking considered one of the best heavyweights in history that never really lived up to his ability. Because in truth, he could have really been the best American ever. With his inside game, his outside game, his overall skill set, right? Dude was fucking fantastic. But those guys like Chumpside and the rest of them, with them, they just fucking peddle race on their channels to make money off of YouTube. Right? So they're going to make everything into a racial thing, even though it has nothing to do with it. We got tons of fucking Mexican and tons of white fighters who are also fucking fucked up mentally as well. But they never mention them because they're full of shit. Champside's not even a real boxing fan. The dude fucking knows nothing about boxing, really. Really. If you listen to him, you know his knowledge is limited. Chumpside don't know anything about no damn boxing. There you go. Nobody want to see Plant maul after Plant got his ass whooped by Resendants. Of course, who wants to see that? Sometimes it's good. You fucking save money by not making fights that people are going to have to spend $85 to watch. Who wanted to pay fucking $85 to watch that fight? Not me. I like James Toney's boxing style. Chumpside don't know nothing. James sparring wars messed him up the most probably. Well, that's the thing. He was too lazy to train. So mostly what he did was spar, like Harold Brazier. Except the difference is Harold Brazier was fucking always in shape. James Toney was undisciplined, right? His worst fucking, he was his worst enemy more than anything else. But it is what it is. Who you pick, Kambosses Hitchins? I'm picking Hitchins. I think it's a pretty obvious prediction. Nobody expects that stylistically Kambosses is really going to be able to do it. Like Hitchins is pulling a 135-pound fighter up to 140. A guy who lost to the top guys at 135 that he fought outside of one great victory against Lopez. And it's probably because Lopez wasn't at his best. But where is it? Hitchins by split decision. I don't think Hitchins is going to stop Kambosses. So I get more points if I predict a majority decision or a split decision, even though I expect it's going to be a unanimous decision. James Toney was the Shaq of boxing. James Toney ate his way out of boxing. Riddick Bowe too. Yeah, but that's, again, undisciplined. Guys have too much money. They're the worst thing they did on themselves was just get paid too much, because then they lost the hunger, not that hunger, but the hunger for success. But, overall, not bad. Here's another card that we got going on this weekend. I know a lot of you guys probably don't care, but these two names are worth paying attention to. Lazaro Alvarez and Erislandy Alvarez. Two great Cuban amateurs. Lazaro Alvarez was a two-time Olympic gold medalist. And obviously, both of these guys are early on their careers. We also have Diego Gabriel Chavez there. People remember when Keith Thurman fought him. Obviously, this card happening in Argentina. These two Cubans are going far and wide to get fights. But pay attention, right? Both of these guys potentially might be there for world title fights not that far down the road. Then, of course, here we are with the Hitchins card. Hitchins Kambosses. I got Hitchins. Cruz versus Mishiro. I also have Cruz. What was my prediction on that league? I got Cruz by majority decision. And then Pablo Valdez, a good up-and-coming young fighter. Terramona, you guys remember him? The New Zealand heavyweight with long hair. Exciting fighter. He's got big power and exciting. Olympic fighter Nishant Dev, maybe the first Indian world champion. He looks good. The one time he fought already, he looks sensational. I think he's a 168-pound fighter, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, we have Shakur's cousin, Shaq Quinn Moses, on the undercard as well. So, you got some good up-and-comers, Valdez, Terramona, Dev, and Moses. And then, of course, Hitchinson and Cruz. So overall on DAZN, this card is a good card. I don't know if all those fights are going to end up being fantastic. I expect Moses to get an early stoppage, Dev to get an early stoppage, Terramona to get an early stoppage. Valdez-Diaz fight, that could be probably the best fight on the card. Cruz versus Mishiro. It's Mishiro's first time fighting out of Japan. So a lot of these Japanese fighters are good, but, they're not great. When they get to these upper levels and world title levels, they can be competitive, but they don't necessarily always have the skill set to pull it off. I think it's maybe lack of experience, whether it's in sparring, training, and just on their resumes, too much domestic fights that they spend most of their time doing. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can upset the apple cart. If he beats Cruz, what a fucking statement that would be. Holy crap. My man, Hollow Ninja, he says, when guys like Bud make top-level opponents look easy, they say that the opponent is on the decline, even though they came off streaks and good wins. People are always looking for excuses to hate, man. Like, it's like Lomachenko stopped Kambosses, right? Haney never stopped Kambosses, fought him twice. Lopez fought him, lost to him, right? Lomachenko fights him, and this is a guy who'd been inactive, didn't fight because of the Ukraine-Russian war, lost out an opportunity facing Kambosses early on, before Haney. You tell me you don't think that Lomachenko would have beat Kambosses? Of course you do, because I saw the videos. People literally were fucking screaming bloody murder not to have Lomachenko fight George Kambosses for his unified titles, right? They were pissed off. They wanted Devin Haney to get the fight. They were fucking in their feelings about Lomachenko getting the fight. Lomachenko agreed to the terms, was going to go to Australia to fight him. These guys all felt it was a fucking cherry pick. Then Haney did it, and all of a sudden it was the best thing fucking since sliced bread. And literally, they fucking talked about racism because of the poor contract. But yet that was the exact same contract that Lomachenko had already agreed to. Right? So these dudes, they're just haters. They're always going to find some way to shit on fighters, to twist it and try to manipulate the conversation. Garden Snake says, Nonito and Rachel are back in action this weekend for the WBA interim belt. Nonito says this is the last run for a title. Will this be the end Saturday for the Hall of Famer? I think it will be. I think if you look here, you do not see Nonito Donaire's name on my list. I think he is going to lose to Campos by majority decision. Filipino boxing is hot with Pac-Man and Nonito back. Oh my God. No. If Filipino boxing is depending on these two old motherfuckers to carry it, something's bad's going on with fucking Filipino boxing. They haven't fucking been able to build up a new young level of boxers based on the success of both of those guys, where now you still need these old guys to carry you. Fuck, man. That shit's sad. Nonito about to get his ass whooped. I think so. And then people will say, see, I knew he's not that good. Campos beat him. Who's that? Same old shit, always. Here's another good card. Crazy. Africa's putting out quite a few cards recently with a lot of American and UK fighters on it. This card obviously happening out of Ghana. I think the last card was out of Ghana. And it's Amir Khan's dad, I think, or is it Amir Khan himself? But the fact Amir Khan is doing all of this stuff in Ghana. I guess he must have had like some serious oil money or something pushing behind it, because you got that Ghanaian fighter Daniel Gorsh, a young up and comer, Andrew Tabiti. People remember him, one of those Floyd Mayweather fighters that sort of got dropped off after losing his cruiserweight world title fight. Hari Davis, who I thought was already going to retire after his last fight. Brandon Glanton, coming off of a loss, but a fun fighter. I thought Brandon Glanton was going to win that fight against Smith, but I was wrong. Then, of course, Larty. I can't remember which one of these guys is more well known, Jesse or Jerry, or maybe they're just brothers of the other one that I'm familiar with. I think those guys, big heavyweights, big punchers. But yeah, Amir Khan Promotions. I think this is like the second card in like 2 months that I've seen coming from Ghana. And then we have my man, future Hall of Famer, Juan Francisco Estrada, finally getting back in the ring after his loss to Bam Rodriguez. He's getting in against a good veteran fighter in Kareem Arce Lugo. It'll be interesting to see how he looks after such a long layoff. He definitely ducked that rematch with Bam, and granted, I think it's smart. He had nothing to gain from getting back in the ring with Bam, who's literally fucking at his peak right now. And obviously, Estrada is not what he once was, right? So, better that you move in another direction. Maybe a fight versus Nonito Donaire at 118 if he wins the title. Last time I saw Tabiti was against Dortukis. I've seen him fight a couple times since then, but yeah, the Dortukis fight, right? That's when he was unbeaten, part of the Floyd Mayweather stable, getting a lot of attention, went in there and got fucking flatlined by Dortukis in the World Boxing Super Series Part 2, where I think who won? Breedis? Breedis ended up winning. Oh, here we go. The man, another Hall of Famer, Nonito Donaire, fighting out of Argentina, right, against Andros Campos. Anybody else on the card worth speaking about? I'm not sure if I know anybody, but you never know. Samson Lukovic is promoting it. Look at that guy. His fucking dirty little fingers are everywhere. And then we have the next fight next weekend. This fight, probably in the next few weeks, fight card is going to be pretty good. My man Brian Norman Jr. going to Japan to defend his title versus Jen Sasaki. We obviously already saw a prediction on it. I think Brian Norman is too good, too fast, too powerful for Sasaki. Sasaki is a very aggressive, come-forward fighter. The fight should be super entertaining for as long as it lasts. But Sasaki's defense is terrible. He's already been beaten once, and I think now he's biting off more than he can chew. Then you got some other good Japanese fighters. Rhea Aba used to be a world champion, and a few other fighters. Not that I'm familiar with all of those Japanese fighters, but it'll be interesting. Obviously, viewing on ESPN. I'm surprised they don't have another more named opponent on the undercard, somebody that American audiences could sort of gravitate towards, right? Because outside of the Norman Sasaki fight, I don't know if Americans are going to be familiar with anybody else on the card. Some upcoming fights in the future. We got this big card, June 21st. Callum Walsh is getting back in the ring against Elias Espadas on UFC Fight Pass. We know that they like him. They're fucking putting a lot of support behind this young kid, right? And they figure if they're going to build the UFC boxing platform, it's going to be behind this Irish kid. Then, of course, Gal Yafai, right, on the zone. He's going to be fighting Francisco Rodriguez Jr. Rodriguez Jr. is good. He fought Junto Nakatani. He fought Tanaka. He fought Ioka. He fought Roman Gonzalez. He fought Estrada. He's literally been in with everyone. So it's going to be a good test for Yafai. And then, of course, the other good up-and-coming young amateur British fighter, Shabazz Massaud, is on the undercard against a tough Filipino in Baluta. Then Liam Paro is getting back in the ring against Jonathan Navarro. Liam Wilson's on the undercard. That's exciting. Liam Wilson's a fun fighter to watch. And then from Canada, this card is good. Christian Mbili versus Selecki. And then a great matchup. Eric Bazinian versus Steve Butler. That is huge fight because this is two very good high-level Canadian fighters matching up against one another. So this domestic dust-up between two Canadian fighters fighting for the pride of the country. I'm excited to see that fight. At this point, I think Bazinian is younger and fresher than Butler, and he's also a hard puncher. Butler has lost numerous times already, but he's still obviously a very good fighter. But he always seems to wilt when he steps up to the biggest level. Then, of course, we have the fight card everybody's pushing. Saturday, June 28th, Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. on DAZN pay-per-view with Ramirez versus Tortugas, Schofield Farmer. That's a good fight. Raul Curral getting back in the ring. Solid opponent. Everest Griffin, Julian Rodriguez should be a good matchup. And Holly Holmes coming out of fucking retirement to get back on the card. So, overall, that card is pretty good. And I know people love to hate on Jake Paul, but think about it. To fanboy so many legitimate fighters and put them on your card, right? You're really giving these people a good opportunity to showcase themselves, right? Obviously, I think Jake Paul's good for boxing outside of his fights. As far as the promoting aspect, I think he does a good job, and hats off to him. Garden Snake says, Tio is saying Turkey isn't sticking to his third fight deal price tag. That was negotiated already, which is why he isn't fighting Haney. Do you believe him? Shakur and Rolly both said similar stuff. Well, people love to fucking talk out their asses, but if you're not fucking producing, then why should unless you got a contract written, then there's no onus for somebody to pay you what they verbally agreed to you if you went out there and performed fucking terribly. Anui versus Nakatani will be two samurais going at it in the land of the rising sun. Sean, you ever been to Okinawa? I haven't been. I was supposed to go a couple times. I hurt my back once. Another time, it just fell through. I mean, it's close, right? Okinawa from Taiwan, it's literally fucking, I think, 2-hour flight. So it's not much. It's super easy. I probably should have been numerous times already. All those years saying Tank was ducking Loma only for Tank to be the one to put Loma in retirement. Yeah, okay, Rick. Heading back to Japan this summer. Nice. Jake Paul saved women's boxing. He did. And we're going to look at that card as well, in a minute. I think that's coming up soon. Maybe I ignored that one. But obviously this card from New York, another Turkey card. This fight card's great. I don't know why people are so quick to dismiss and hate on him. Shakur versus Cepeda, it's a great fight. Barlanga versus Shiraz, great fight. Puello versus Matias, great fight. And David Morrell versus Kadiev, great fight. Maybe these fights all won't turn out to be fucking fights of the year caliber. But when you look at 4 fights that you're going to watch on a card, maybe you have to pay pay-per-view, $30 or whatever it's going to be. But I have no problem paying for this card. I think Morrell Kadiev fight is going to be fucking great. It's going to deliver. Puello Matias, deliver. Barlanga Shiraz, deliver. Stevenson Cepeda, that one might not deliver. But you're getting 3 out of 4 fights that look like can't misses, right? So, it's not bad. Then you get this card from DAZN from the UK. So far, this card doesn't look very good. Usyk Dubois, good fight. Okoli versus Lerna. I mean, Okoli is boring. Dude looks fat as fuck. Him being at heavyweight, he just looks undisciplined. He looks like the heavyweight version of fucking James Toney. And then you got Daniel Lappin versus Lewis Edmondson. I mean, I wouldn't pay for this card if this is what I'm getting. Because outside of Usyk Dubois, there's no other fight that I'm interested in. I mean, obviously, I want to see the Usyk Dubois fight, but as far as the card itself, I think it's disappointing. And you're going to do this in Wembley. Who's going to buy tickets to go to Wembley to watch a shit fucking card with no good undercard fights, right? Like when you compare the fucking Turkey fight in New York compared to this, also I think, is this a Turkey fight? Man, underwhelming. Puelo Matias. Yeah. Man, Sean, we are blessed with so many good upcoming fights. We are. Hit the likes, even the trolls. We all owe Shakur an apology. Shakur has more action than the whole Fatal Fury Times Square event. Let's be real. Well, I don't think that's true. I don't think nobody beat Puelo at 140, not even Keyshawn. Really? I don't know.
So,
yeah,
Liverpool.
Liverpool.
And a lot to look forward to from.
Liverpool. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about that. Puelo's awkward. He's long, but I think he's beatable. I don't know if Matias is the guy to do that to him, but we will see. Puelo is very good, bro. Dude was on roids, man. How come no one fucking talks about that? That he was on steroids. People love to talk about Munguia and Ryan Garcia on roids. No one talks about Puelo because they just don't care. He's black. He's not American. He's not a star. So no one gives a shit. Literally, no one gives a shit. All these dudes like that could all be cheating, fucking have needles fucking sticking out their arm when they walk in the ring. No one gives a shit. Sean, you just don't like slick black fighters. Yeah, not slick black fighters. Why do you need to put black attached to that, Henry? Because it has nothing to do with black. I just don't like slick fighters. Mexican, Asian, black, white. Slick fighters are boring as fuck. They don't entertain me for the most part. Who's that girl from Australia? You know, all the hype. I watched her one fight against that black girl from America. She was boring as fuck. Boring as fuck. Oh. Bill Haney said Devin's performance against Ramirez was sweet science, not running. Running. The guy was running and holding. He was doing everything in his power not to be pulled into an engagement. That's boring as fuck. Shawnee, what do you think of Andres Cortocas? Well, he's not a boring style fighter, but I think, you know, he's a level below the top guys. Entertaining fighter, but he's not very skilled. He's not that hard of a puncher. You know, he's not a top 10 fighter. Benavidez can move up and beat Zurdo, but can he beat Opataya? I don't think he beats fucking Zurdo. I don't think he beats Zurdo. I think he loses to Zurdo, if you ask me. Oh, here we go. Jesse Bam Rodriguez versus Pomelo Kafu and Diego Pacheco versus Trevor McCumbee. I think this card is good because I think both those guys are going to win fucking by impressive knockouts. Bam's going to knock out Kafu and Pacheco is going to fucking destroy McCumbee. So it's going to be fun. Then we get this other pay-per-view PBC card. To be fair, the card itself is not bad. But if you're selling me a card with Mario Barros defending his WBC title against 59-year-old Manny Pacquiao coming out of 4 years of retirement, I can't be down with that, man. Because if you're going to throw Pacquiao in with Amir Khan, okay. I'll be like, yeah, that's a good fight. But you're going to have Mario Barros cherry pick an old retired fucking fighter to get a career high payday, to act like, wow, he's doing something. He ain't doing shit. And then Funduro is doing the exact same thing by fighting Tim Tszyu. We saw Tim Tszyu get destroyed by fucking the IBF world champion. Why isn't Funduro fighting the IBF world champion? He ducked the WBO mandatory to fight Tim fucking Tszyu. A guy that literally got his ass beat from pillar to post. And then Cruz versus Fierro, okay. Cruz underperformed against Fierro the first time around, so the fight was entertaining. But does that mean we want to see it again? Cruz underperformed against Fierro. He was not supposed to struggle against Fierro. And it's also not a fight that people were going, oh, we got to see the rematch. Obviously, it was a good fight. But shouldn't Isaac Cruz be trying to do something fucking a little more legitimate? And then Figueroa against Joey Gonzalez, that's fair, right? Joey Gonzalez is a solid fighter coming off of a good victory. Brandon Figueroa is a top fighter coming off of a loss in his last world title fight, trying to bounce back against a good opponent, right? But this is what we get from PBC. Refugee fights. Refugee Pacquiao. Refugee Tim Tszyu. Fucking refugee fucking Isaac Cruz. Refugee fucking Joey Gonzalez and Brandon Figueroa. They use the same fucking names and they just repackage the shit again and again and then fucking resell it to us and put it on another pay-per-view card. Right? The shit ain't interesting. If I never saw fucking Funduro Tim Tszyu fight again, I would not be fucking feeling like I missed out on anything. Pacquiao, I'd already fucking checked off as retired. Mario Barros, I wish he would be retired. Cruz, the only reason he fucking is talked about is because he went the distance with Tank Davis. And then Figueroa, I mean, based on his performance against Fulton, that dude fucking has not improved at all. He moved up to a bigger weight where he'd be able to utilize his natural size, yet he looked fucking worse at 126 against Stephen Fulton. I don't even know how you do that, but he did it. Tim got chinks in his armor. Yes, he does. Pac-Man, let's go. Fire. If Kambosses loses this, is it game over for him? What's your prediction? Well, Grievous, I already predicted that he is going to lose. Benavides, that is a solid card. What's a solid card? Pero versus Kambosses Australia showdown. I'm sure it would do well. Yeah, that's probably what they would do, right? That would be a big fight in Australia. Pitbull is a show pony act for the casuals. Tim Tszyu about to get his ass kicked, this time by Funduro. Exactly. I mean, that dude is going to get fucking hit by one uppercut, and mentally, I think he's going to be like, man, I don't know if I want to keep doing this shit anymore. He don't have the fucking hunger that his dad had because he grew up not struggling. Why Tszyu only have one real loss against Backrum and you want to throw him away? Because I don't think he deserves a world title fight after getting his ass destroyed by Backrum fucking Murtazaliev. What has he done to earn a fucking world title fight against Tim Tszyu other than being a PBC fighter? Because that's why he's getting the fight. Because he's a PBC fighter. Funduro should be fighting the Puerto Rican guy who's his fucking WBO mandatory. Or unifying against one of the other champions. Not cherry picking fucking Tim Tszyu, who came off fucking of a destructive fucking ass beating. Right? Like, you tell me, what's exciting about that fight? It's not that he has one loss. I don't mind that he's got a loss, but do what you got to do. Look at Erickson Lubin after he got beat by fucking Charlo. He wasn't getting a world title fight his next fucking fight. Dude got his ass smashed. He don't deserve a fucking world title fight. Throw him in with Lubin. I'll be okay with that. Tim Tszyu versus Erickson Lubin, good fight. The winner gets a world title fight. No problemo. One loss and fighters are trash. That's why Floyd protected his O. Not that they're trash, but we know what the PBC is doing. Destroyed fucking Spencer. Spencer's garbage. Was never anything. That guy was a PBC hype job. Like, first time he stepped up, he got knocked out. So there was very little chance Tim Tszyu was going to lose to that fucking bum. Tszyu might have PTSD like Haney from getting pummeled. He for sure has PTSD. That's why I said the first time he gets hit by an uppercut, just look at his demeanor change. If Tszyu goes straight back in there after that beating, it ruins him. Exactly. It's the wrong fucking approach for a guy that got beat up as bad as he did. He don't know what happened to him. He literally was concussed because after the fight, he did not know what hit him, literally. I hope Thurman doesn't get the title fight. This division does not have 3 years to wait. See, the problem is he will because he's PBC. And Errol Spence is going to be in the mix. The PBC are going to do what they always do. Give us fights that they want, charge you $85, and not make the fights boxing fans want. I mean, if you make Thurman versus Spence, I'm okay with that. Two fucking old fucking refugee fighters. Go away. Go make your fight. But those dudes don't deserve a world title fight. Neither one of them. Gary Antoine Russell is allowed to get a title fight off of a loss. Give Zoo a break. Well, I don't think Gary Antoine Russell got his ass beat up and knocked out. Did he? Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. See, this is like John Boxing. Maybe that's your other name, Dry Turkey. Like when he tried to justify Errol Spence getting a world title fight against Funduro. But then he was so fucking adamant that Lomachenko didn't deserve another world title fight after a controversial loss to Devin Haney. Spence got beat up and battered by fucking Bud Crawford. Lomachenko got robbed by Devin Haney. But yet, Errol Spence deserves the world title fight. Lomachenko doesn't. No, the dude fucking got his ass beat up. He don't need a world title fight at this point of his career. Backram beat Tim like a bad habit. Spence isn't helping himself by not bouncing back after his loss. Dry Turkey loves Tim Tszyu. The worst thing Tim Tszyu ever did was tie himself with the PBC. So he's going to have to live with fucking the repercussions of that. Enjoy. That dude's just going to be used and then thrown fucking to the corner. And then we're going to get to see him fight Robert fucking Guerrero on a fucking PBC undercard. Backroom is a killer with real hurt you power. The only reason why I'm cool with the fight is because I thought Tim was on his way to knock out Funduro, if not for arguably the nastiest cut I've ever seen. Yeah, but then he got fucking destroyed by Murzalia. It's not that Tim lost, it's how bad he lost. Exactly. I don't see anybody calling out Backroom. Exactly. How come fucking Funduro isn't fighting him? That's my point. You're fucking okay with Tim Tszyu fighting Funduro. Meanwhile, he ducked his WBO mandatory, got stripped of his title, ducking unification with fucking Backroom Murzalia to fight fucking Tim Tszyu, who literally got hit by a fucking truck. And then when he loses, people are going to go, oh, it's like Errol Spence when he almost killed himself drunk driving. That's no excuse. He was the one drunk and driving. Tim Tszyu is the one that got hit by a truck and choose to jump in a ring now fucking against Funduro. Watch out for those elbows, buddy. No one has dominated Loma like Tim and Spence got. No, never. None of them. Loma's fucking the only real loss in his resume was Tio. And even that fight could have ended in a draw if he would have won the last round. So every fight has been competitive. No ass kickings. And it looked like he was going to stop Haney. It also looked like he was going to stop Salido. It also looked like he was going to stop Lopez. Right? For a guy with no power, the fact that he had those guys in real trouble and looked like he was going to be able to potentially drop them or stop them tells you about how good he is. He did not fucking get his ass beat by anybody. What's up with Murzalia? Haven't heard anything about him since he beat Tim. It's because nobody wants to fight him. The only good thing he's got going for him is the IBF will mandate somebody to fight him. Backroom is a solid fighter, good skill, though. Be a champ by now. Loma, one of the best ever. 8-4 Tio over Loma, definitely no draw. Yeah, of course, you're just a hater. So, of course, you're going to say that. I had it 7-5. If Loma would have won the 12th round, it would have been 6-6. But 7-5 to you, oh no, it's 8-4. Okay. After Tio, Haney was significantly bigger than Loma, unlike Bud versus Errol. 8-4, what the hell? Yeah. You know, people choose what they want to see. 8, 9, 10, 11, only rounds I gave Loma. Okay, that's you. But what you say doesn't dictate what other people feel. I gave you my opinion. My opinion has nothing to do with your opinion. 7-5 for me. It was really easy fight to score. I thought so. Dry Turkey, you don't know boxing, bro. Well, he's a fanboy of Tim Tszyu. So, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. Tim Tszyu's where he's at because of what his father did. And that's exactly why he's where he is. Loma didn't engage for the first 6 rounds. Too much respect for Teal's power. Round 7 to 11, Loma dog walked him. Yeah. Patty Donovan, very good fighter. Reminds me of Backroom. Really? As I said, this card is not bad. It's just, I don't like the fact that two biggest fights on this pay-per-view are fights that should never have happened. Pacquiao versus Barrios, Tim Tszyu versus Funduro. Sure, Joel Gonzalez, Figueroa, going to be entertaining. Isaac Cruz, Fierro, going to be entertaining. Isn't it ironic, though? Think about this. PBC is all about supporting black fighters. That's why all these black American channels love the PBC, right? Yet this card, you got Mario, a Latino versus a Filipino, Funduro, a Latino versus Australian, Cruz, a Latino versus Fierro, a Latino, Figueroa, a Latino versus Joel Gonzalez, a Latino. Like the PBC has went so in the opposite direction of supporting black fighters. Outside of potentially having one black fighter as a headliner, then the whole card is based on fucking Latino fighters. Henry overrated. Give me Jerome Bettis. Jerome Bettis. Bettis was one-dimensional. Henry, not that great. There's way better running backs than both those guys. But okay. Comey at 35. I don't recall any at 140. Huh? Comey at 35. I don't recall any at 140. Anyway, what's going on? Did you see the LDBC crashing out on Showbiz? No, I didn't. What did they say about Showbiz? You know, they're just angry fucking guys that are angry that Showbiz is breaking into real television, whereas those fucking dick riders would never be able to be on real TV because they're fucking haters and fanboys. How are you going to put them on real boxing shows? They don't fucking have any intelligence. They fucking fanboy for fighters and then hate on other fighters, but you're going to put them on real TV? No chance. Y'all stick to boxing. Leave football to me. I have Nello destroying Bud in 5, Sean. I can't wait. Nello could stop Bud early, or it could go late and Bud potentially wins on the cards. Yes, Tio stopped one guy at 140. It was his first fight in the weight class. Yes, he did. I forgot his name. Not Sandor Martin. No. Sandor Martin went the distance. Shawnee, did you enjoy Plymouth knocking out Liverpool in the FA Cup? Man, I don't fucking care. Champions. Liverpool. And we just signed fucking Verts. I mean, we're going to repeat next year and dominate. And let's see if Plymouth beat us fucking FA Cup next year. We're just tired. Like, think about us losing to Champions League. We lost to PSG. PSG ended up going on to fucking dominate and kill everyone. PSG was good. We're going to kick PSG's ass next year. Even though I didn't realize how good fucking PSG squad is. Like, when you just look at it, fucking Christ, man. The best thing they did was get rid of fucking my man. That guy was fucking cancer to the team. You get rid of him and then you win Champions League the first fucking year. They will. They're a more well-rounded team. All fucking Madrid does is try to buy the most expensive players, but they don't have any fucking cohesion. You need cohesion. You can't just have an all-star football team and think you're going to win. You need to have guys that actually fucking track back, work, fucking grind. Real Madrid are a bunch of fucking prima donnas prancing around the field, not wanting to fucking throw a tackle. How are you going to win against a good team playing like that? Garbage. Fitiana is good as fuck too. He is good. Man, that dude fucking... A lot of the dudes they played, man, surprisingly, Showbiz, unisex pound for pound list blows. Well, to be fair, Showbiz is fucking a dude that's walking fucking the fence, trying to make everyone love him, right? But in the process, nobody fucking loves him because he's so full of shit. I'm a Dolphins fan. Laugh my ass out. Ran Derrick Henry off. Stop it, Sean. Laugh out loud. Stop what? What did I say? Real Madrid? Real Madrid signed fucking Mbappe. What did they do this year? They look worse this year than they looked last year. They're going to lose Rodri, right? They got the other great fucking Argentinian guy. He barely fucking even gets any fucking, no one talks about him anymore. Like, they don't have cohesion. You can't just, now you throw fucking Arnold on the team and you think somehow that's going to make you better. Well, defensively, you're going to be fucking worse. You're shit defensively already because nobody fucking puts in a fucking shift on defense. Arsenal smashed Real Madrid. Yes, they did. I can't be seriously talking boxing in a taco hat. Well, that's it. With him, it's all like fucking this cheesy shit that he puts on, right? And I mean, maybe some people like that, but when I watch it, I feel the same way as you. I look at it, I'm like, I'm not fucking 2 years old. Like, that's the way I have to act when I teach my kindergarten kids, right? Because they're kindergarten kids. You don't need to fucking act like a clown to get me to watch your channel. I need you to fucking be all about boxing and have good fucking takes on the sport. How much would you sell this channel to Turkey? I don't know. How much Turkey want to fucking pay me? Dude, showbiz gets no women acting like that. Well, he's married, so he don't care. Is Lee Van Cleef hat allowed? Do we need any hats? Oh, I gotta go put my fucking Donald Trump wig on. Showbiz looks like Uncle without his glasses. Well, we don't need to hate on Showbiz. He is who he is. Urkel. Yes, Urkel. I was going to say. But what other fights we have? I thought maybe, oh, no, that's it. That's it. I didn't even showcase the women's fight card because when I looked at it, it's all women. The whole card. I'm like, man, I loved the first two fights between Taylor and Serrano. Both fights were great. If you aren't a big fan of women's boxing, you can watch those two fights and you can't really walk away not really appreciating boxing, women's boxing. But, man, I can't fucking watch a whole card of fucking women's boxing and take that shit seriously. Really, I can't. Where is that shit? There it is here. Like, look at that. Serrano, Taylor, Baumgardner, Miranda, Scooney versus Machado, Thorzen versus Johnson, Marshall versus Green, Cameron versus Kamara, Ali versus Furtado, Thabo versus Casamasa. You know, Clarissa Shields, she's a fucking idiot because she should totally be on that card. But she's so fucking stupid that she'd rather bite off her fucking nose to spite her face. Showbiz, the tap dancing, Biscuit, Butter Biscuit, Eaton, Coon. See, that kind of shit. That's 78 totally. See, that's the problem with black on black fucking crime. Black men can't be successful without other black men trying to tear them down. You think about Will Smith, right? Will Smith was the most successful actor in Hollywood. At one point, more successful than Tom Cruise. But he had to deal with that same kind of shit within the black community because he's sounds too white, ain't black enough, right? Like, this is what holds back the black American fucking person in America. Not fucking white people. This black on black crime. This fucking kind of colorism that we see all the time. This kind of shit. Because you can't fucking just be happy when a brother's doing well. Like, when someone's making money, I'm happy for them. Even if I don't like them, I'm happy that somebody's being successful. In Taiwan, people I know that have businesses that make money, I'm not sitting around being envious because they're doing better than me. I'm excited that they're doing well. I appreciate that. Guys I know opened up a school. Now they just bought out a bar that we used to always hang out at. Somebody's like, why'd they buy the bar? Because they could. Is there a reason? Like they go to the bar, their friends go to the bar. Now they own the bar. All right. If you can afford to do it, why not fucking do it? Opening a bar in Taiwan is easier than many places. You don't have to deal with a lot of the paper fucking trail you have to deal with in other countries. They did it. Congratulations. Maybe they won't make money, but as long as they don't lose money, it's going to be an excellent part of their fucking lifestyle in Taiwan because now they have a hub where their friends, bitches, everyone can get together, watch football, have a good time. Life is good, right? Like, I don't need to hate on people that are successful and doing well. I appreciate that. Wardley better stay away from Kabial. That's fucking true. That's true. I heard he killed somebody in a staring contest. Showbiz got dollar signs in his eyes. Yes, he does. I went to Showbiz Live, and two of the people in there were 11 and 12-year-olds. I'm just not into that BFTB stuff. What do you mean? In the comment section or on his show? When you watch him on DAZN doing interviews, it's kind of cringe. When he had that fucking back and forth with Shakur, it was kind of like, really, dude? Chinos come in for Taiwan, Shawnee. Chinas? No, they're not. China. People have been saying that for fucking decades and decades and decades. No one in Taiwan fucking is concerned at all. Warren thinks Wardley should get Usyk Dubois title shot. Of course he does, because he promotes fucking him. So if Dubois loses, which probably he's going to lose, he wants another one of his fighters to get a shot. But the reality is fucking Parker deserves the fight. Parker already did the work. He's right there for the WBO. Parker gets the fight. If Wardley wants to fight, go beat fucking Parker. Parker got no opponent. I'm sure he'd rather stay busy than sit there waiting. Will Smith was a brilliant actor, or is. 78, the mad midget. Yep. You can't make angry like him. Hangry. That's the problem with him. He's just always hangry because he's got to feed that fat fucking can of his. Miserable prick. But, those kind of people are everywhere. Everywhere. But thanks everyone for jumping in. I appreciate it. It's just an hour and a half show. Obviously, we don't have a lot of boxing this weekend. Maybe I will be going live Sunday for that Hitchins Kambosses fight. I will see if I can get a live feed that's worth watching. Where's Black Fighters fans gone? Yeah, man, yeah. Yeah, man, yeah. I like Black Fight Fan, right? He was one of the guys I didn't mind watching. I just didn't understand why he associated with those fucking guys. But, there's no accounting for fucking taste. But thanks everyone for jumping in. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend. Hopefully I'll see you live Sunday. Peace out.